The Renaissance Runners get their first win, and the Red Scares are climbing that leaderboard with another big win. Let's talk ball. I'm Sean Macaulay. This is a View From the Bullpen, episode 3. That's week 3 in the books. Let's get straight into it. Slammers at Runners at Motor Yard. Nice weather out there. Vecchillo starts us off. Vecchillo, 400-foot home run in the first. Runners off to a great start. Looking really good in the infield too. They are certainly playing with a little bit more confidence this week. And in fairness, the 2 losses they've had so far have not been blowouts. They do get on the board, they just haven't been doing quite enough. But this week, they looked more confident, the crowd's behind them. We're starting to see a team that really wants to come out and play baseball. I think this was a perfect game for them at this stage. After 2 losses, 1 at home, 1 away, having the Slammers at Motor Yard, it's a great fixture to get. The Slammers are out of form. They are looking pretty terrible. Thales, to be fair to him, was looking a little bit better this week, but not showing the consistency that's required at this level. We get another 441-foot home run in the 4th. This actually gets the Slammers on the board, probably bails them out of what was otherwise looking like a really good defensive performance for the Runners there. When it comes to Thales, this game, I find it really unfortunate. He's actually playing better ball than he has in the last 2 weeks, but I really feel the Runners are coming into their own. I'd like to see Thales narrow down his pitches a little bit, look to the pen a little bit earlier maybe, change some things up. Maybe get one of those relievers, be an SPRP, could really help that team out. Thales, I don't know how much more time he's got if he doesn't improve these performances. 3 times out, I'm yet to see a performance that the Slammers can be proud of as a whole team, but Thales isn't helping anything. He's just not at that level yet. Yes, he's playing better overall, but as a team, I'm not seeing where the runs are going to come from. This was an opportunity for both teams to start building some confidence and some momentum. The runners managed to take advantage. The Slammers failed to show up. Ike comes in top of the 7th, a lefty, takes out Diogenes, does it very effectively with a double play. And you know what I really like about Ike as a reliever is that he does not let batters get on base. He catches stealers, which is easier as a lefty, I get it, but his head is always on a swivel. He's a very, very observant player who keeps control of his pitches and of the infield. He's a player they can trust to perform for 3 or 4 innings every single week. So they get their first win of the season. They definitely score a few more than I would have expected them to, but that's good for them. It's going to be good later in the season when things start coming down to run difference. Most of it comes near the end of the game. Okay, taking advantage of the Slammers, probably losing a little bit of confidence, probably kind of seeing the game's gone. Really unfortunate of them to concede. I don't think they really deserved it, but like I said, a little bit of tiredness, a little bit of a lack of confidence. There's some work to do to try and turn this season around. The Runners win this one 6-1. All right, game 2, Tuesday, we've got the Imperial Gladiators playing the Potomac Commanders at Founders Field. So Tiberius here having a really poor start to this game. It's going to be tough coming up against these big hitters when they're at home. But he's going low and inside for the left-handed hitters. He's going low and outside for the righties. He's giving up a lot of balls. Okay, I like the strategy, but it's just not paying off. 3 walks in the first 3 innings. The Commanders seeing what he's doing early, and they're just not swinging. They're taking those balls. They're ready to take a walk. They're pretty happy. You can see they're playing with a lot of confidence. They're happy to take the walks, get on base, give their bigger hitters an opportunity to put them on the board. Whereas we look at Bosch, he's looking as good as ever. He looks fantastic. Quick outs, no pressure on him at all. The Commanders coming off 2 wins here. The Gladiators coming off 2 losses. You expect it to be an easy day for them. Certainly helps that Washington takes an early home run in the first, but then Trahan comes out with one of his own in the 4th. Bosch probably getting a little bit too comfortable. Letting one get away from him. Pretty unusual for a pitcher of his caliber, and it's a rare mistake that he needs to get back under control quickly. And he does. Tiberius starts throwing a pretty nice changeup in this game. Catches a couple of batters off guards. Really nice off-speed pitch, just dropping into the strike zone in front of the batter. I haven't seen him use that particular pitch so far this season, so it's really nice to see him expanding his arsenal. Not sure if it's going to be a mainstay or if it's just something that they really wanted to use against the Commanders, maybe seeing a bit of a weakness, but I thought it was really effective, really, really nice. Aurelian comes in, bottom of the 5th for the Gladiators. Now, he's got a great fastball with a slightly odd arm action. It can get the Gladiators out of a sticky situation. He's having a decent season so far. Not the best, but he's having a decent season. I think he's someone who's going to improve as the season goes on, and to be honest, he's outperforming the starter in Tiberius. The more innings he gets, I think we're going to see a stronger player develop, and again, this might be a team that already early in the season, we might start thinking about having those hybrid pitchers. Maybe throw Aurelian in as a starter one game, maybe against a weaker team. Let's see how the fixtures line up. Maybe against the Slammers, it might be a good opportunity. Let him get a few more innings, see what he can do. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how he comes along this season. Caesar was having an unbelievable game for the Gladiators. A real standout on that team in this game. Probably the strongest fielding performance this season so far. He's all over centre field in this game. He really found his legs and caught some impressive balls, and I reckon the Commanders would have been targeting deep centre against this team. They just couldn't make it work for them. Caesar wasn't laying anything up. I mean, the Gladiators grow into this game, all right? I'm being pretty harsh. They grow into this game. And as it goes on, it seemed as if the Commanders were doing the opposite. They start shying away from a few pitches that I might expect to see them hit. The variety of Bush's pitches, they narrow. In the end, they just prove to be a bit too strong. Only takes one big hit for a home run in the 8th for the Commanders to walk away with another win. They win 3-1. Grant coming in the end felt like a little bit of insurance. Nice for him to get an inning, keep him locked in, keep him warm. He's been playing at such a high level. It's always fun to watch him play, but they didn't need him. The Gladiators, they didn't really have an answer for this. On to Wednesday's game. We've got Vanguards at Flushers at the Stade Royal. Stade Royal, first time we've seen it this season. Great conditions for the Flushers. Really, really nice to come out on a nice sunny day for your first home game. Bonaparte, great rotation of pitches. We've seen it in the last couple of games, and he's showing it again. His four-seam is great, but he doesn't rely on it. Likes to throw in a few off-speed pitches to catch out the Vanguards. It was great in this game. A few favourable calls from the umpires definitely helps him, but there's no doubt he's one of the best pitchers in the league. On the other side of the ball, we see Elizabeth Tudor launching one over the wall for a 2-run homer. She hasn't been in the best form, but she comes out in this game to show what she can do against a tricky pitcher in Anthony. Anthony takes the first inning to settle in. She looked a lot better after giving up that home run. Really started to lock in. I think she saw what the Flushers were going to do on offense, and she figures it out. Some pitchers will lose confidence after giving up a big play so early in the game, but we've seen before that when she locks in, she can be really difficult to play against. Mandela having a really nice game too. He's another batter that struggled to get into this season. He's looking a little bit more sure of himself in this game. Couple of nice base hits in this game. A really good team player. He's not doing anything flashy, but he can advance runners when he needs to. If he can keep getting on base, he'll be a solid part of this team. I liked watching him play today. As the game goes on, it starts to become a bit of a pitching clinic. Always fun to watch. Both pitchers having a great game, very few mistakes from either side. But when the mistakes happen, the flushers are taking full advantage of that deep center field that the vanguards just don't seem to be able to cope with. There's a slightly odd shape to the outfield. The flushers are well practiced at getting the ball deep into that far nook right in center field. It kind of has that like bit that juts out slightly to the left of center. Took a couple of tries for the vanguards to see what they were doing and start playing it. Their outfield, I guess, just weren't taking advantage, weren't really looking at, they're going to just try and drop it in there, okay? I'm curious to see how other teams in the league are going to respond after this game to stop that being a problem, because it very, very quickly became a problem for the vanguards. They do manage to kind of get a handle on it, but it's going to catch a few teams out this year. Charlemagne comes in top of the 7th. I'm not really sure I understand that substitution. Now, I'm gonna go back on that in a minute, right? I don't understand the substitution. Bonaparte's having a great game. Charlemagne, he's been good, right? He's been good. There's nothing wrong with Charlemagne. Maybe late in the 8th, in the 9th, if they're up, just to get him a few innings. I think it's too early. Give Bonaparte a little bit more time to breathe. He's not really doing anything wrong here. He's having a good day. But I do want to talk a little bit about Charlemagne. This guy, the only pitcher in the league. No, sorry, not the only pitcher in the league to have a perfect ERA. Okay, but he's the only pitcher in the league to have a perfect ERA and a whip below 500, which is crazy. Yeah, okay, he's only played 8 innings. But then we look at some of the starters. Kepler's only played 12. So he's not really that far behind. And when it comes to relievers, there's only one pitcher who's played one more inning, and that's Franklin. And we're going to talk about them soon. But Charlemagne, 8 innings pitched, he's given up 3 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, 8 strikeouts. He has a whip of 391 and an ERA of 0. This guy, he's playing at a level that none of these other pitchers can deal with. I reckon we could see him come out and start and be completely fine. So this Flushers team, if Bonaparte gets injured, if he's out for a week, I don't see them struggling at all. I think he's absolutely brilliant. He is setting the mound on fire. He's going to be a lot for other teams to deal with. The Flushers just looking really, really strong. Truth comes in to try and respond to this Charlemagne substitute. She doesn't have the best rotation against this team. I feel like it was just a pressure response and not a particularly good one at that. It doesn't pay off for them all. 2 walks in the 7th. Hands an easy fastball to Habsburg for an RBI single. Is pretty lucky that Tudor's having a bad game. He had a great game last week. I was really singing his praises last week. He just did not perform this week. He went 0 for 4. It looked like she was going to walk him at one point. He was playing into her poor form as well, waiting for the fastball to go for a grand slam. It doesn't come. She gets him out swinging, but Flushers still win this 5-1. It's a very, very impressive showing for them. All right, let's take a little break from the games. Let's have a look at our player profile. We're going to talk about Anthony. Okay, so Susan B. Anthony, American social reformer, women's rights activist, playing a pivotal role in the women's suffrage movement. Born a Quaker to a family committed to social equality, she collected anti-slavery petitions from the age of 17, and in 1856, she became the New York State agent for the American Anti-Slavery Society. She might not have lived to see the achievement of women's suffrage at a national level, but she still expressed plenty of pride in the progress of the women's movement and the progress it had made. At the time of her death, women had achieved suffrage in Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, Idaho, and several larger states followed soon after. Legal rights for women had been established in most states, and most professions had at least a few women members. 36,000 women were attending colleges and universities, up from zero just a few decades earlier. 2 years before she died, she said, "The world has never witnessed a greater revolution than in the sphere of women during this 50 years. Since joining the Vanguards this season, she's racked up an impressive 26 strikeouts in just 3 games, with a whip of 1,000 and an ERA of 3. She's showing a real consistency on the mound, and I think she's going to be a real rock for this Vanguards team if she can keep that consistency going." Really, really impressive stuff. Back to the games. Syndicate at the Nordics at the Corral. Going to be a tough game. Afternoon game at the Corral. This park casts a lot of shadows. These later day games, the outfield's really got to be on form here, okay? You can easily lose that ball from shadow to light. It can be pretty tough. So you've got to be on form here. The Nordics will be a little bit more used to this, playing here at home. And we see that early on. Early lead for them. Nice 3-run RBI. You expect a player like Kepler to be a little bit more careful early on in this game, but he gives up another run in the second too. Could be a real long day for the Syndicate. I was surprised after the first inning that Hawken didn't really change his position a little bit more. He's out there in center and looks pretty stagnant. He ends up giving away another ball to his left. He knows he's not the fastest guy out there, so why is he not setting up for a team like the Nordics, who we know are going to play a lot of deep balls into center? These guys are big hitters, and he is going to be a really pivotal point in this game. He does not live up to that on the defensive side of the ball. We'll talk about his offensive play a little bit later on. So we see a really early substitution in this game. Franklin comes in bottom of the third for Kepler. He's having a bit of a disaster on the mound. We know he often comes out early, but that to me suggests we might see a change in the lineup if this form continues. He's another one like Thales. I think Kepler's a much, much better pitcher than Thales. I think he's a much better player. But when we're looking at the stats after this first 3 weeks, Thales actually has better results. Thales, he's pitched a few more innings. Okay, he's let up a few more hits. But when we look at his whip, it's 1.368. Kepler's is 1.583. Thales' ERA is 5.21. Kepler's is 6.75. Who am I picking out of these two? If we're looking at the numbers, you have to pick Thales. But I still lean towards Kepler. I think that there's more that we can see from him. Franklin comes in. She puts on a much, much better performance, but still struggling. So this is another one. We might see the Syndicate being another hybrid team, switching out their starter a little bit more. I'd like to see Franklin start to see what she can do. On the other side, we see Fairhair. He looked exceptional. He's more of what we want to see at this level. He wasn't giving up, and when the mistakes happen, the outfield's well-positioned to deal with it. They're looking better and better every week, and getting an opportunity to play at home, I think, really builds their confidence, and they're looking really, really good. Lothbrok struggling a little bit against Franklin, seeing a bit of frustration from him. She wasn't having the best game, but got away with a couple of bad decisions from Nordics batters. We see another substitution. Faraday comes in bottom of the 7th to see if he can keep the Syndicate in this one. He definitely comes out really strong. Gets Boneless to swing at 3 fastballs and miss. That's a lot of confidence. That's a lot of confidence to do that. He's showing he's here to play. Throwing 3 fastballs at Boneless after the first 2 weeks that he's had and gets him out. Excellent, excellent job. Marie Curie not having a great game, really. I think that shoulder's probably still bothering her. Maybe she just needs a week out just to rest it up. Particularly in the weight game, really starts to affect her. You can see she just looks uncomfortable. Fairhead took advantage of that. It was really nice to see him play almost a full game. I think he probably could have finished it out. But, he's having a good time out there. Triggervassen comes in to see it out. Hawken, right? I spoke about him before, having a horrible game in the outfield. Actually, at the plate, having a much, much better game. He's actually advancing runners. He doesn't really manage to get any RBIs, but he's playing a really good batting game. So Tryggvason getting Hawking out at the end of the game for the Nordics, probably the right decision, as much as I'd like to see Fairhead finish that one out. Probably a good decision. Nordics win it 5-1. Good result for them in the end, and a nice run difference that's going to help them out too. Okay, let's go to our Friday game. We've got Warlords at Guillotines. This is one's at Peril Point. This was a pretty poor game of baseball. Did not have much fun watching this one. Perron, it's going to be challenging for him. He's not looked good this year so far. He's ranked 11th of the starting pitchers, having some pretty poor outings. It's their first away game of the season. I think coming to Peril Point against a team that works so cohesively, it's going to be really hard for him. And it was, okay? Not a good start. Given a few hits in the first 2 innings, a stolen base, an RBI, he gets bailed out by Dolphus, who's probably the only person on that Warlords team right now who's actually playing really good baseball. He bails him out a couple of times in center. There's not really much else to say about them. Mussolini can't seem to throw a decent ball to second base. Second game in a row, he's letting his team down with some really poor throws. You know, when you look at how like Forks is playing in comparison, it's night and day. When Forks gives up contact, he's only letting up some easy ground balls, and the Warlords couldn't do much to get the ball away from the infield. They were just having a pretty poor time. Dolphus mentioned him. He's a highlight on the Warlords team. He's batting over 600. He's a huge workhorse out in that outfield. But there's not much else to comment on. It wasn't a great game of baseball. Lots of fly balls, quick innings, but that's not because of good pitching. The Guillotines grind this one out with some pretty average defensive play. The Warlords they're all over the place. I don't even know what to suggest. They are a pretty poor team right now, and they are going to slip down the leaderboard pretty quickly if they don't figure it out. The Guillotines win this one 3-0, and I think that was generous for them. If it was 1-0, that would have also been suitable because they weren't playing good baseball either. All right, our last game of the week, Crushers at Reds at Parque Llaneros. It's our last game of the week under the Whites. Should be a big matchup. We've got the informed Crushers away to the inconsistent Reds, who have so much potential, right? They score a lot of runs. They often let up a lot of runs. But right off the rip, Mao Zedong, 468, a 3-run homer. He's having a hell of a season so far. That's tough for any pitcher to keep him down, and Polo lets him get a really big one early. Luxembourg pops a 414 into right field for a grand slam in the 4th. That's huge for her. She's received a bit of criticism the last 2 weeks for her performances. I've heard some of the other teams talk about how when they're playing the Reds, they're going to start targeting that left field because she's not been great out there. She's not been great at the plate in the last 2 games. But getting that home run, getting that grand slam, really nice to see her get on the board and show why she's in this team, and she should not be underestimated. Marx gets that 2-seam locked in pretty early, takes a few of the Crushers out swinging. He had a really good handle on the game from early on, and he needed it. The Reds have been playing well so far. Marx has not necessarily been the reason for that. There was a chance here that against the Crushers team, he could have crumpled under the pressure and relied on big plays on the offensive side of the ball. That's what we've seen in the last 2 weeks. But here we're seeing why he's in the team and why he's the star. Much, much better from him. Polo was really struggling to perform against these big players on the Reds, and he's taken out in the 4th after letting up 8 runs. 8 runs in 4 innings. It's a poor showing. Hudson comes in to see if he can get this game back under control. So now we've got 2 top-level fastballs on the mound, one lefty, one a righty. This is the point where Mark says, I'm just going to throw a ton of change-ups and curveballs for a while. The Crushers just don't have an answer for it. There's nothing more to say on it. They are floundering at this point in the game. Hudson shows a few too many fastballs to Kim Il-sung, throws one over the center for another 3-run homer in the 5th. Starts turning into a little bit of a disaster. This is a bit of a blowout for them, really. So we see James Cook get his first innings of the season. What a way to do it. Pretty brutal for him. Okay, they put him in first play against Zedong. Decides to walk him, good decision. Takes on Castro, makes light work at him, great. And then he walks Lennon. Gives an RBI single to Il-sung and almost gives another one to Luxembourg. Like, I don't know. I'd be taking him straight out here, but he gets another few at-bats. I can't say I wasn't impressed here, really. He did settle in a little bit after that inning, and in fairness, that is such a hard way to come into a season. This isn't just coming into a game. This is his first innings of the season, and that's the lineup you're going to put him against. It's pretty tough. You know, he's definitely on the back foot, but let's hope he gets a few more opportunities to show what he's made of. Eighth inning, the Crushers start mounting a comeback. They score 3 runs. They're preying on the lack of stamina from the Reds. And then Trotsky gets a homer over the right field wall, and that brings in Nunez for his first innings, who also gets a pretty tough start. The depth of this Crushers bullpen is not quite there. It could be they need a little bit more game time, so let's just hope that's the case. I want to see both Cook and Nunez play a little bit more, but that might be tough after the game they just had. The Reds end up seeing this one out with Tito getting his first plays, so lots of new starts for both teams here. Using his slider inside, really, really effective. Gets the 3 outs needed to end the game. The Reds win this one 13-3. It's just a blowout, and it's great for them. Really, really good to see at home getting a big, big win like that, really making a statement, showing they are here to play, and they are going to be tough to play against. Let's look at the table. We have Flushers. The Flushers at the top, 3 wins, 0 losses. Potomac's 3 wins, 0 losses. The Red Scares go up to 3rd at 2-1. The Vanguards are in 4th, 2-1. Nordic Nightmares in 5th. Guillotine Swingers in 6th, all 2-1. Compass Crushers drop to 7th, 1-2, after that pretty devastating loss. Renaissance Runners are also on 1-2 now after that win. It's really, really good for them to be so close. I mean, it's early in the season, but managing to keep themselves in it. A loss this week could have been pretty devastating for them. Spark Syndicate 1-2. Iron Warlords in 10th, 1-2. I think we're going to be seeing them go down. And really at the bottom here, in 11th and 12th, we've got the Gladiators and the Slammers, both on 0-3. I know it's early, but I think we've got 3 teams at the bottom there who really deserve to be there. They've got to really figure some things out if they're going to come back into this season. Okay, our last thing then, let's look at predictions for next week. So going into week 4, our opening game, Gladiators Runners. Renaissance Runners have got to capitalize here, right? You think that Tiberius needs to really get something out here. They need to get a win. They need to get on the board. But the Runners, they've got to take this on the road. They have got to take advantage of having these 2 easier games, get themselves 2-2, start trying to get themselves back into this, because week 5, the Runners are going to have the Vanguards. That's going to be really, really hard, okay? So let's talk about the Vanguards in week 4. They are at home against the Slammers. Easy pick. Vanguards win this. The Slammers look pretty terrible. Spark Syndicate against the Commanders. The Commanders will take this, even on the road. I would like to see the Syndicate put Franklin in as a starter. I'm not sure it will happen. I think Kepler will get a little bit more time, but I think the Commanders win this pretty decisively. The Warlords are at home against the Flushers. This, again, another easy game. I think there's going to be a few blowouts. The Flushers, I could see them scoring over 10 runs here pretty easily. They're going to win that one. Crushers and Nordics. Now, this is tougher. I think the Crushers can come back here. If they can control those big hitters like Boneless, the Crushers could win this. And that's a big win at this point in the season for them. Okay, it's a really, really big win, especially when you think you're going away in week 5 to play the Commanders on the road. That's going to be a hard game. You need a win here against the Nordics. Okay, and if you're looking at the Nordics, they're going away. They're home against the Guillotines next week. That's going to be a tough game for them, okay, even at home. So this could be a real tight one. Both teams need a win. I'm backing the Compass Crushers. And then Red Scares, Guillotines, Red Scares home. You've got to back the Reds. The Reds just had an unbelievable game. If they don't absolutely dominate the Guillotines, that's a mess for them, because the Guillotines, they work super hard together. Really, really good foundation of a team. But I think this is a team that we see sort of build in the second half. They need to make sure they don't lose too many games in the first half of the season. But I think they're going to lose this one. And then they'll be looking to next week and the week after with a couple of difficult games to try and squeeze out a couple of wins. All right, that's it for this week. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week.